Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and people of all ages, it is Thursday night, and it's the Radical SR10 Championship Round 8, live from Donington Park National Circuit here as well. National Circuit, 1.957 miles, 3.149 kilometres, and it's famous for corners such as Craner Curbs, down the old hairpin, coming out of Coppice, down Starkeys. Are we going left? No, we are going right into Roberts. It should be a fun one here as well. Lap times round about a minute per lap at the moment. Race 1 is 14 laps, race 2 is 24 laps, so technically in all hindsight we should be done in about an hour, but we will see on that one. Let's check out the scores at the doors as they are currently at the moment. James Barry out in front on 255 with Simon Edwards on 242. Then George Gonzaga on 185, or Jorge, or whatever we want to call him, or Jose apparently he was called the other day, so that was an interesting one. Dan Webster in fourth for 179 with Paul LeMay on 176. Then we got Josh Reed, Mike Bousson, James McRitchie, Jamie Bird, Luke Maxwell, David Rolliston, Graham Matthews, Damien G, Seth Brown, Darryl Taylor, Phil Glover, Paul Crabb and Michael LeMay rounding out the top 18. Graham Brown, Robert Woodward, Phil Jocelyn, David Beasley, and then of course Nev Smith and Chris Kane, who's only made one appearance here this evening. I am James Barber. I'm going to be joined in the booth once more. I've worked with him more this week than I've actually seen my wife, but I'm here once again with Mr. Alex Goldschmidt after our free broadcast run on Sunday. Alex, welcome in, bud. How are you once more?
Well, thanks for the welcome and very slightly lengthy introduction in comparison with usual, James. But yeah, good to be back alongside you for our usual haunt, Thursday nights. Yeah, I think Jose, as someone called him, I think Jorge would probably be like to say, I think the air would be blue in Portuguese right about now, and I do know a few Portuguese swear words, so I'm not going to mention them on stream. Just for those Portuguese watchers that are out there that we are not, well, we are at past 9 o'clock watershed here in the UK, but got to keep it PC, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think his actual response to the whole Jorge situation, I need to ask, who is Jose? Not enough being called George. Now Jose is a new one. So there we go. And that's partly because I've called George for absolutely ages. I even met him in real life, and literally I still called him George then as well. The only thing he corrected me on was Gonzaga. That's the only bit he said to me, James, that's my name. I was like, all right, mate. Other than that, he just let me call him George forever. So, hey, George, hope you're well. Just coming to the end of practice before we go into qualifying. Donington Park, mate. Me and you know this track well. We've, done hundreds of broadcasts here. National circuit, so we're going right at Roberts, not turning left that time. Short lap times as well, 24 laps for race 2, 14 laps for race 1. It's going to be a full grid reverse for race 2 as well. This is going to be very, very interesting, I think.
Well, I think, yeah, instead of going left down the foggy S's and heading down to the Melbourne hairpin that we'd see on the GP loop, coming down the Starkey Straight, you've really, really got to have your eyeballs on stalks, cross the T's, dot the I's going through into Roberts, because you make one wrong move, and especially if you hit the sausage curbing, Your Radical SR10 will be going skywards, and I mean that quite literally as we start the 10-minute qualifying session. Yeah, it is going to be a, when you got the elevation changes, who's that? Who was that? Was that Jorge Gonzaga that just decided to return to pits, possibly? Or no, it was possibly Graham Brown. But, the elevation changes as we run aboard with the trackside with the 7-time Radical Race Series champion, Mr. Simon Edwards. You got a lot of elevation changes. You go down the hill from Redgate through Hollywood into the Craners. Then you got to be very, very careful how you negotiate the old hairpin. Could see quite a few lockups there. Then you go up the hill through Starkey, Schwantz Curve, McLean's, up again through Coppice, and then it sort of flat lines out from Coppice down to Redgate again. So you've got this roller coaster that Donington Park has always been known for as we're about to start our first few hot laps. So it is going to be a tricky one. Your braking's got to be on point. You can't really put a foot wrong here, because otherwise you'll either end up with the barriers, mowing Jonathan Palmer's lawn, or going through the kitty litter. One of three things.
Well, either that, or you're going to pop off and see Phil across the pond who's in YouTube chat telling me this is his local track. So, either one. Pop to Phil's and have a cup of tea. I think that's on the agenda as well. But Simon Edwards.
Jaffa cake.
Oh, I love a good Jaffa cake, mate. Oh, you get Jaffa cakes, dude. I'm one of these people that if you get a Jaffa cake, right, and you get the box of 2 strips, don't you? I normally take 1 strip out and leave 1 strip in the box. The trouble is, 10 minutes later, that strip's finished, and I have to go back and get the second one. So generally, Jaffa cakes don't last long in my house, to be blatantly honest. I normally end up eating them all.
Or someone else has finished the other strip, and you've gone, where did that go? Who nicked it?
Yeah, I go chasing after him. Simon Edwards going to come along over the line at the end of the first fast lap here as well. 1:01.458. That is not going to be the fastest time. I believe they were down late 1 minutes in practice. Everybody else is going to come over the line as well. It was 1 minute, weren't they, down in practice? I've got a funny feeling we might see that again, to be honest with you. Yeah,
we were running, I think the lowest time was 1 minute 7. 1 minute 0.7. So 60.7 second lap time we could see here. We could see even quicker, depending on how the track evolves, because the air and the track temperature at the moment are 25.5 degrees centigrade. Edwards goes purple once again through sectors 1 and 2, so bettering current points leader James Barry, who's just come across the line for his first hot lap and goes P4. Jorge Gonzaga goes up to second, but this looks very, very quick from Edwards. He did a 17.6 in the opening sector, 19.2 in sector 2, comes across the line. Is that an improvement? Yes, it is. 1 minute 1.458, but we've still got 2/3. And thank you very much to Phil across the pond for the welcome. He said, I will get the special yard-long box of Jaffas. That'll take us all night to finish, Phil.
Not as quick as I eat it, mate. We'll be done in 10 minutes. Honestly, they are the worst things in my house. You can never buy Jaffa cakes in my house. It would be absolutely horrendous. Mike Brisson's back out on track again. Obviously, round 7 at Algarve did not go well for Mike. Didn't have the best of evenings, to be blatantly honest with you. And I think it's going to be... this one should be a little bit more familiar for him. James Barry's got some purples on the time, put himself on pole position. Great job from James. But Edwards coming along again. He's just getting quicker and quicker. I expect this to be a late 1 minute lap here because he's purple across the board once more. Keeps it pinned on the right hand side. Oh, I don't know why they drift over. Just run straight down the right. You've still got time to move on the racing line. Edwards 1:01, 1:09. It was his improvement, but how can he not have the fastest lap time with, I believe he had 2 purples at one point, wasn't it? So
yeah, I mean looking at the lap time, well, Simon Edwards was quicker in the opening sector by 1/10.5, but I think one of the biggest problems is that by coming across the circuit, you're covering more distance. So if it's a bit like Montreal and the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, when you come out from the Wall of Champions at the final chicane, you've got to keep it to the right hand side, and hopefully James Barry is going to do that. No, he's drifting over to the left, which is weird. And he's just there we go, 60.996.
Yeah, but
first lap. but he's not off the optimum lap time that we've seen, which has been a 60.7 second lap time. Edwards isn't going to improve this time, I think, but he's taking the same line. Oh, he has gone quicker. 1 minute, 0.955. Ah, well, now halfway through the session, so can we see? I'm hoping that pole position is either going to be a 1 minute 0.7 or a 1 minute 0.6 second lap time. No matter whether it's a high or a low, I don't care.
Yeah, I think we're going to be 1 minute 7. That's roughly where I expect people to start being here as well. But I can tell you one thing, though. The good thing for us, first off, is Donny's split into 3 sectors, which is great. We haven't got these random 6 digits. But they're all doing this. And I don't get that. Why are they not just going straight down the right-hand side? Like, why are they drifting over? Just run it straight down the ball. Barry goes pole, 1 minute 951. Edwards has got faster in sector 2. Run it down the right. Don't come over. You've still got plenty of time, and they're still coming over. He's gone faster in sectors 3. Goes on pole, 1 minute 907. We are getting closer and closer to record times here at the moment, Alex, as well. And you can see Paul LeMay out on the racetrack sitting in 5th. Currently doing the same thing. Oh no, he's a little bit closer. They have got time after the line to get to the left for Redgate. So, you know, I don't really know why that is an actual thing now, but there we go.
I mean, if it was me, I would keep it pinned to the right-hand side as much as I can, coming out of Roberts, and then as soon as I go across the start-finish line, down the Wheatcroft straight, I would then pull it left, because you will still have enough time to gather pace, gather momentum. Oh, Graham Matthew in the very technicoloured number 4 car has just spun it out of Redgate. And that was a code round. Edwards is going to beat this lap time, but by how much? 4 1,000ths.
Yeah.
4 1,000ths. I was thinking maybe a 10th, so we'd be at 1 minute 0.8. But yeah, it's still going to be nip and tuck between Barry and Edwards. I mean, Edwards has got the advantage in the fact that he's done more distance around the circuit here at Donington Park National. And there we see our good friend, Mr. Darryl Taylor, in the number 22.
Darryl does
there
it
was
right.
there was someone who was pulling it to the right-hand side. Well done, Darryl's this. Right, Simon Edwards has just gone and put in a 17.59 in the opening sector, and Jorge Gonzaga has just improved and has gone pole. But is Edwards gonna beat him? He comes out of Roberts.
Too much. Go stay left.
Let's see. Has it changed again? Yes. 1 minute 0.832. It's not just a 2-horse race tonight, though. That's the interesting thing. Gonzaga has said, right, let's upset the apple cart, shall we?
Yeah, give me a piece of this action this evening for George. I'm just going to keep calling him George. That's it. That's my name for you, George, whether you like it or not, son. Darryl Taylor goes over the line as well. Absolutely stunning. We're going to have a nice little 3, maybe 4-horse race. Buson's not too far back. Paul LeMay, again, as we know, anything can go wrong. Barry's coming over the line, no improvements. Gonzaga's over the line, no improvements. Brown's coming in the background as well. He's not got an improvement. Barry goes up into 2nd. What is George going to do? Is he going to go any faster? He's not. What about Graham Brown coming over the line? Nope. And then we've got Simon Edwards coming over the line with Mike Buson and Darryl. No, I don't think anybody is at this moment in time. I think they're at that point now, Alex, where they get the plateau and just sort of stay in.
And Mr. Buson, our resident carrot cruncher, has just spun it, gone backwards into the wall, and that's his session over. Barry's improved, but he's has he aborted the lap? Yes, he has, and that was coming out through McLean's.
He would have got that done as well, I reckon.
Yeah, he would have done quite easily.
I reckon he would have got that done as well. So, yeah, Going to be a very, very interesting one here as well. We've got about 4 seconds left of qualifying. If you've got time, go and get a drink, grab some popcorn, sit back and get ready for some
or your
great,
Jaffa cakes.
or your Jaffa cakes, Phil, yeah, or your bourbons or whatever tickles your fancy. Because I can tell you one thing, I would if I had some Jaffa cakes, but I've run out. Simon Edwards is on pole with James Barry in second, George Gonzaga in third, Mike Booth on fourth, Paul LeMay in fifth, Graham Brown, Darrell Taylor, Phil Glover and Graham Matthews. There's going to be two battles here. There'll be Paul LeMay upwards and there'll be Graham Brown downwards. That's my philosophy. That's what I expect to be happening, and I think we might just see it here this evening. But let's keep an eye out for the lights as we're 30 seconds in.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one. I mean, especially the run down to Redgate here, James. So, and we know how calamitous Redgate can be. I mean, especially if people love their British Touring Car Championship racing. You know that Redgate and Hollywood are always the biggest places before the crane occurs that cause the biggest dramas on lap one.
Yep, absolutely. But I think, all in all, it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. There is Simon Edwards lined up here as well. Who's going to lead for the first time down through Craner into the old hairpin? That's where it's all going to matter. The old hairpin too wide does not work. I have seen it, I've tried it, multiple people, and I've watched multiple people, and it doesn't work. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Ladies and gentlemen, race 1 is now officially green, green, green. Edwards got an absolute barnstormer. Barry covered off Gonzaga going into Redgate now, when at the moment Simon Edwards is out in front. 14 laps, 14 minutes, we're going to be done and dusted. Paul LeMay trying to run down side by side past Graham Brown, gets it there as well. Buson, Gonzaga in the background, but the first run up for the old hairpin. Does everybody make it through? They do. No real dramas. Graham Brown past Paul LeMay past Graham Brown, and that is the only move, the only overtake, the only actual gain and back again that has actually taken back on track. Nobody has gained or lost positions yet because we are on the opening lap. Darrell Taylor looks like he's flirting with the back end of Graham Brown at the moment. Phil Glover in there as well. The VR Super Simulator, Motion Simulator man with no teeth body end of Sebring is nestled in 8th place once again. It looks like Paul LeMay may have had a slowdown. Unfortunately, coming through Coppice there as well. Easily done for Paul LeMay. He's got to make sure that don't happen. Lap 1 done. Edwards leading. Barry second. Gonzaga third. And it's Mike Buson who's closer to Gonzaga than anybody else is on the racetrack.
The good thing is everyone got through that opening lap really, really cleanly. And that is the key point on this shorter variation of the circuit. You know, the Grand Prix circuit's around 2.5 miles. So not having to negotiate the foggy S's, not having to negotiate the Melbourne hairpin and Goddards is an interesting view on board with Froome's very own Mr. Mike Buson in the 666 as they're coming through into Schwantz Curve. Then it's going to be hard on the brakes down into McLean's. So third gear, rotate the car, run the car wide, and it's up the dip here up towards Coppice. Very deceptive double right-hander. So there's the first apex, but then you let the car drift out wide, open up the steering, and then carry the speed down Starkey straight, but then you've got this little hump you have to negotiate. Then it's going to be on the brakes and heading into Roberts, so you don't want to straight line this because you will be going through the gravel at a big rate of knots. You could sometimes spin the car and get beach 180 degrees the wrong way, as we've had a drama. Oh, Phil Glover's ended up in the pits.
Yeah, Taylor, LeMay, all in the background. I'm wondering what went on here. Was this Phil Glover making a mistake? Did he end up in... Whoa.
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
No, it wasn't. It was Taylor who'd lost the front cowling on the... Well, lost the front of the radical. And he was across the racing line. So it's into Roberts. So he's gone on the first curbing. He's going to hit the loud pedal, spins it round. And then... Oh, Taylor was able to avoid, ends up in the pit lane. And Paul LeMay loses the front cowling on the 27.
Yeah, did Phil Glover end up in the pit lane then as well?
Yeah, he did. He did. Like, literally, the way that he avoided it, he turned the car, look, watch this. Whoops. And he nearly did a Paul O'Neill there.
Oh, he's got nothing.
Not kill a few years ago.
Oh, he has got a bit now. Oh, that is broke.
Yep.
That car is broke, but Glover is back out again now. LeMay's in the pits, Darrell Taylor's in the pits. Edwards still leading, Gonzaga still tucked in there as well. Bousson still, and Graham Brown. Then we've got a little bit of a gap to Graham Matthews and Phil Glover. Unfortunately, that is one of the things that can happen here. One simple mistake in a short car field, and everybody goes into pit lane. It's a little bit horrendous. 10 laps to go. 10 minutes basically. It's taking about a minute 01 at the moment to get this done here, but the times will expect it to come down faster and faster and faster here, so pay attention to this one. Barry's tucked up behind Edwards currently here once more. There is James Barry on the go on the arch here with Barry dropping down now into Roberts, the right hander. Get it lined up, don't straight line it, take as much curve as you dare if any, and Edwards seems to have his number going through there.
He does. I mean, one of the good things about this circuit here at Donington National is that if you are leading from the front end of the field, you've got nothing to really worry about. You're the one that's controlling proceedings, even though Edwards coming out of Hollywood, making a slight extracurricular activity, as in going slightly off track with the left rear, kicking up the dirt. But here, through Craner and then into Old Hairpin, you could just see how much momentum James Barry carried through. But coming up the hill, so obviously you've got to deal with that. It's about how your car's set up. Now Barry is really starting to close in. Gonzaga's not too far behind either. Bousson making it a 4-car scrap. Barry has just set the fastest lap of the race at 60.998. But I think it's the case that if you're leading here at Donington Park, you are the one that controls proceedings, and you are the one that dictates to everybody else, right, I'm going to be on the racing line, try and get past me.
That's the thing. Donny, Brands GP, any of the British circuits, even Cadwell, are very, very tight. Thruxton's the same. Barry's going to try that outside line. Dude, I've got to be honest, you've got to be big and brave to run around the outside of Redgate. I can tell you that much. But Brands is the same, Cadwell's the same, Donny's the same, parts of Snetterton is the same, apart from that long run down the back straight. They're all very, very tight, and they don't leave much room. To get the job done, you've got to look at your moment, and you've got to decide, is this my moment? Is this my one opportunity? Is this the waiting, the game, the place I can do this here? Because if you don't, and you go for a move that ain't right, and you're not in that right position on the racetrack, it could all go wrong. This is where Barry needs to be right behind him. This is where he needs to tuck in and go, right, I'm going to go after you now, coming down into that chicane. And if he don't, he's going to have to wait again, because Edwards will just position his car once more. He ain't crazy. He ain't 7-time champion for no reason. He knows he can afford to leave the door open, because unless Barry's going to take a big old send, which he thought about, he can go back on the racing line as it is. That's the problem.
It cost him time.
Yeah.
What he did there, he waited and waited to come down the Wheatcross straight, and then when he pulled out, heading into Redgate, he lost all that momentum. But now he's trying to gather it back up, because coming through the twisty stuff, you can see that Barry's a bit more planted through the old hairpin, so he's able to gain on Edwards going through into Starkey's, into Schwantz. McLean's, Coppice is a very deceptive double right-hander, because you can, you'll aim for the apex on the first part and then run it wide. And now this is where you can get the carryover in terms of the speed. Now the closing speeds are going to come down, because between Barry and Edwards, it's less than 0.2 of a second. He's just got to follow Edwards and mimic what he does. That's a bit more like it. So less than 0.3 of a second. But now it's bringing in Gonzaga into the fray, who's now got the fastest lap of the race. Into Redgate they go again. Barry just indecisive, I think, is probably the best terminology I can use for the number 10, for the insert name here, the sim racing team. It's just about a case of picking his moment. So if he goes up the hill, gets it lined up in McLean's, he might have a chance coming out of Coppice and going down Starkey's straight. But at the moment, we're more than halfway through this race. We're on lap number 8 out of 14, so 6 to go after this one. And Edwards is just white lining it, and Barry's just like thinking, what do I... Like he did in the early couple of weeks of this season, didn't he, James?
Yep.
Where on earth can I get past? Now, there is going to be a tactical ploy here, but that depends on how strong Edwards is on defence. And we know he can defend a race lead very, very well.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing. And he can school, he can educate, he can show you where and everything else. And at the moment, for Barry, there's just no way through whatsoever over the back of that purple pink machine that we're so accustomed to seeing at the pointy end of this grid. And they're just going to keep going and going and going. Gonzaga's closing in. Buson's losing a bit of time. But at the moment, Barry's got nothing. He just doesn't know where and when to try and make the move. He's got options. Sit, wait, and stay in front of him for race number 2. Or, as the lick the stamp and send it says, absolutely send it going into the Roberts at the end here, because he's got no other option. It doesn't seem that he's quicker coming out the old hairpin. Granted, I'll give you that all day. But he don't get the run up at Starkey's Bridge. He doesn't get the run up to Schwartz. He doesn't get the run through McLean's. Then it's back to where he was before. And again, it's just lap after lap after lap of Simon Edwards saying, come on, where do you think you're going to be brave enough to try and get past me here?
Yeah, true. And no matter what page of the playbook that Barry decides to use, Edwards always will know that, yeah, I've tried that before. I haven't been successful there before. That is just a case of how much racecraft you gather as a 7-time Radical Race Series champion. But the main thing is that Barry's got to be very, very wily. He's got to be thinking a little bit outside the box, and he knows that Simon Edwards is a tough nut to crack. We all know that. We all know his track record, and that's why he is in the position, in the hallowed position that he's in. And Barry's just like saying, right, okay, Donny, yeah, it's going to be a tough one, but then when we get to the full reverse grid, then it's a different kettle of fish altogether. But then we'll still see the usual suspects go to the front of the field, and whoever gets there first out of Barry and Edwards, it could even be Gonzaga. That person could control the race for the majority of the 24 laps and pick up the W.
Do you know, the interesting thing for me is not the fact that they're going to get to the front. The issue for me is the fact that who's going to be on the front row. Paul LeMay is going to be on the front row. Now, on his day, that kid can be amazing. He can pull away from the field. Yeah, he's been involved in some stuff, and he's got injuries and stuff like that. But on his day, he can break away. Now, if he breaks away and these guys getting stuck behind Taylor, Glover, Matthews, Buson, Brown, they're not going to make their way forward as quick. The problem you're going to have is whether or not these guys behind are going to fight. They've got to realize that they're either going to fight or they're not. Now, you can see Edwards going on the defense. He needs to come over a little bit more because Barry's going to get the run through here. No, he did not. Even though Edwards took the tighter line, Barry still could not get through. Edwards taking the positions away. He's left the inside door open. Oh, James.
He should have just stayed.
Yep, I agree. Before you even say it, he should have stayed on the inside. He should have sent it.
Yeah, he should have stayed on the inside, or stayed in his wheel tracks, left it right into the last dead moment, and then just go for it and hope it sticks. We're at that point in the championship season, folks. We're now at round 8 out of 13 weeks. We've got another 5 to go after this, right the way through to the 5th of December. So it's about now how you gather your points. And one wrong move, if Barry sends it, takes out Edwards, well, it's going to kibosh the pair of them. And Gonzaga, well, he made it very, very interesting with qualifying, because he went to Barry and Edwards. Okay, let's see how fast I really am. And on a really, really good lap, he bettered the pair of them. So they both know that if they cause each other strife, Gonzaga is there waiting in the wings to pick up the pieces as we've got this and one more lap to go. However, there is an overtake being attempted. That is Brown on Buson. That is for 4th. They're nearly going to be wheel to wheel down the hill, but Buson carries the speed round the outside through Hollywood and into the Craner curves. Great work there by the 666 from Team Radline. It's Graham Brown trying to keep Buson under pressure.
Yeah, they've swapped places 4 times over the last part of that lap. Mike got him, Graham got him, and then Mike just got him again there. So these guys having a right little ding-dong. You can see the head movements that they're having to make on this racetrack. Of course, if it was IRL, you'd probably see a lot more bouncing around and everything else than what we're seeing on the simulator. I don't expect these guys to be doing it in their room, to be blatantly honest, but it does give you a rough idea of the movements that is being made here once more. But we're going to come on to the final lap now. Edwards is still in front, Barry still second, Gonzaga still third, and at the moment nobody is overtaking anyone up the front.
No, it's sort of, as they say, c'est la vie. You know, it's job done, and Edwards has got a breathing room now of just over 0.5 of a second, so he now knows that he's got it in the bag, and he's going to pick up another win here at Donington Park National, despite the best efforts. Now, here is what's happened to Mr. Buisson. Now, that is... Oh, he ended up in the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's fuel related.
Possibly.
I do wonder on an open setup whether or not that's Mike Buisson doing his wonderful I've run out of fuel trip, but it is going to be Mr. Simon Edwards going to wrap up the win in race number 1. We'll have a listen there, but it is Edwards takes the win. Barry and Gonzaga gets you 1, 2, 3. That definitely looks like fuel, doesn't it?
It does indeed, my friend.
Oh, dearie me. Mike. Graham Matthews going to come over the line there as well. I'm just going to drop a little bit of a message to find out if what I expect to be true, whether or not it actually was true. And we'll see what he replies. But Matthews comes over the line. Glover's going to be in there as well. It's just coming down Starkey straight before he goes into the right left of Roberts. There we go in that Castro liveried machine. Over the line goes Phil Glover, and that is the first race done and dusted. It's quick, fast, and, well, can't really say a lot more other than that, to be blatantly honest. But let's have a look at the results. Simon Edwards is your winner. James Barry in second. Then we've got George Gonzaga, Graham Brown, Graham Matthews, Phil Glover, Mike Buisson. We're going to have Darryl Taylor and Paul LeMay on pole position here as well. I've got just enough time to have a quick chat with Mr. Glover. Mr. Glover, good evening.
Good evening, sir. You
How
okay?
are you? I'm very well, mate. I'm always good, to be blatantly honest with you. How's it going out there?
Managed to pick up, was it Darryl in front of me? So, yeah, a trip to the pits. And then it's been uneventful, really, to be honest.
Yeah, the trip to the pits was eventful, though, wasn't it? Because you almost went in there on your own.
Yes, yeah, and it was really difficult to just drive down pit lane, but I managed it in the end.
Yeah, it definitely looks very, very interesting. How's the circuit in general out there, though, Phil?
Yeah, feels good. Feels good. Doesn't feel too slippy. Yeah, just see how we go in the next one, I guess.
All right, mate. Going to be on road 2. What's going to happen?
Oh, I'm going to take the victory.
Oh, Phil, I love you more and more every time. Positive thinking, dear sir. Absolutely amazing. Well, listen, dude, we'll let you go because you ain't got long. Good luck. Let's see that victory.
Yep. All right, buddy. See ya.
See ya. Quick chat, as always, with our resident interviewer, Mr. Phil Glover, there as well. Says he's going to take the victory.
Can he do the same? Yeah, Mike Beeson's just gone, fuel? You've gone, fuel? Me? Never. There's some... Yeah, I looked at quality laps, and your response speaks volumes.
Yeah.
4-letter words beginning with L, ending in S, and has IE in the middle.
He's full of it, isn't he? Tell you, that's because he's used to filling up combine harvesters. That's what that is, and not getting it right in an SR10. Right, it's going to be a full reverse grid for race number 2. So it'll be a full swap over there as well. He was one short, apparently. So there we go, unfortunately, for Mike. But, yeah, hey, let's hope he gets it right this time around. We're just waiting for the session to swap over, and then we will go into the grid. Paul LeMay is on pole, Darryl Taylor in second, Mike Buisson and Phil Glover Then we've got Graham Matthew, Graham Brown, George Gonzaga, James Barry, and Mr. Simon Edwards at the back end. This is going to be an interesting one here because I really do think if this man don't get caught, he may be able to bolt away. He may be able to bolt away here. And I'm hoping, and I'm thinking if he can get away there, it will be very, very, very interesting indeed. Right. Hold on to your hats. We're just waiting. Daryl Taylor. Is he going to come and join on to the grid? He's got about a minute 20 if he is going to get there. So we'll see if Daryl joins us for race number 2. If not, that's going to give Phil Glover a straight run down the straight into turn 1 in the lead off the rest of the race and gets a victory.
Yes.
Optimism.
Theory's one good thing. Oh, Daryl Taylor hasn't made it in time. So here come the 5 red lights.
Here we go, race 2, ladies and gentlemen. 14 laps is now green, green, green. Taylor's going to be sat on the right-hand side there as well, but it is Paul LeMay who's going to take the whole shot. Phil Glover's going to come and try and get that second place. He's in third, but that was aided by Daryl Taylor there. And in the background, James Barry up 3 already. Simon Edwards following him through. Matthews is on the right-hand side. Do not go into the old hairpin side-by-side. Phil Glover and Jorge Gonzaga. James there as well. Yay. I have not seen that work. Edwards and Barry, though, going for it. They're trying to get to the front within by the time they get through the first lap.
Yeah, that was squeaky bum time, if ever I saw it at that point on the circuit. That was well played by James Barry by getting that done, and then Simon Edwards deciding through Starkeys and then into Schwantz going, right, okay, I'm going to follow the leader at the moment because that's what he'll probably end up being at the minute after the opening lap. So Gonzaga, Barry and Edwards all have made up 4 places. Yeah, as now Mike Buson looks for the lead. Up the inside he goes. And that's a pretty textbook move there through at Redgate.
Yeah, Mike does get the job done over Paul LeMay. Can Paul stay in front of Mr. Gonzaga in the background? We're on lap 2 of 24. Mike Buson leads. LeMay second. Gonzaga third. Barry and Edwards scrapping it out. Then we've got Glover, Brown, Matthews. Taylor's 9 seconds back here. I'm not entirely sure why he would start from the pit lane, but for whatever reason he did, and now is struggling to catch on to the back of the group. So interesting for Mr. Buson and Mr. LeMay and Mr. Gonzaga. And if Gonzaga plays his cards right here, this could be his victory if he stays in front.
Yeah, I did say that he might be the one that might upset the apple cart, and that's what he's trying to do at the moment. Paul LeMay darts to the left-hand side, knows that Gonzaga is quicker, but then has also seen Barry and Edwards. So Gonzaga's going to be effectively let through with no real resistance to speak of. So that's second place for the Portuguese man of war in the 113 car. Now Paul LeMay, is he going to make it wide so Barry does not get through into the craters at over 135 miles an hour down to the old hairpin? And, well, LeMay white lines it as Taylor again ends up in the pits. Brown and Matthew have both gone off slightly at old hairpin. But, yeah, Paul LeMay trying to keep James Barry behind him. Edwards is right up the number 10's rear trumpet and rear diffuser. So I think Paul LeMay could be the differentiating factor in this feature.
Depends on how long he wants to hold on for. That's going to be the problem, isn't it, really? If he goes on full defence, Paul LeMay, it depends what happens here, because he can do Edwards a massive favour and just hold up here once again. James Barry, if you're going to leave the door open, no, Paul, you are going to get mugged, literally full ball robbed. Barry again, not confident whatsoever of just absolutely sending it on the inside of turn 1. I don't get it. Come on, son, you're a previous champion. You know how to do it. Just drop it up the inside, hit the brakes, hope it sticks, and turn right at the same time. You can go through Redgate a little bit deeper. It runs a little bit wider. You will survive on the outside line. But at the moment here, Alex, you can see LeMay is just backing him into Edwards. And Edwards is not far away at all.
I think the biggest thing here is that because of the pressure that Barry's getting from Edwards, it's really making him have to think a little bit harder through this strategy call as they come down Starkey straight into Roberts once again here on lap number 4. And LeMay runs wide. Oh, that's opened the door and then some. It's opened both barn doors. Barry and Edwards carry on regardless, and they move up to 3rd and 4th respectively. I think Barry was waiting for a mistake, and that's exactly what Paul LeMay has just inadvertently done. He's opened both the barn doors and let both messes Barry and Edwards continue their scrap a little bit further down the road.
Now the important part here is how much of a play is Mr. Gonzaga going to take on this one. That is the problem. He's sat in 3rd at the moment as well. We can take points out of the 2 in front if he plays his cards right and not just back off and let them catch up, because that's the last thing he's going to want to do here. But you can see just how close. Oh, Barry sent in a little bit deep. In through Coppice now down the run. He got some nice speed coming out of Starkey's though. Is this going to be Edwards climbing all over him? Lap 5, 19 to go. Let's see it up here and see how we get on. Over the curbs we go, and Barry does manage to hold on. Darryl Taylor is a first retirement, unfortunately, on that one for Darryl. Entered the pits, didn't come back out. He's just not in the right frame of mind for racing tonight, he said as well, so he's put it in the pit lane. But we've still got some battles happening. Barry Edwards, Buson Gonzaga, and all the way down here, we've got Graham Matthews and Phil Glover having a little bit of a ding-dong.
Yeah, and that's the battle for 7th and 8th respectively. Of course, Phil's saying, yeah, I'm going to go out there and try and get that win. Well, he's he's just started mowing Palmer's grass, and Matthew ran the outside at Starkey's, of all places. So, yeah, Phil just, bless him. One of the things I love about Phil is that he's one of those endearing characters that we have, always positive. No matter what result he's had, he could have had 2 races that were completely in the toilet, and he'll still come back and he'll still give it everything, and he'll learn every single time he's out on track. And that's one of the beautiful things about leagues like this, folks, is that you can come and join and race along with these, some of these drivers, such as 2 we've got on our screen battling over 3rd place at the moment, with Barry and Edwards squabbling not only for 3rd and 4th, but also for possibly who could be at the lead of the championship. I think Barry will be still leading this round, and then I think next up we have got, I think it's Watkins Glen, isn't it?
What's that on the schedule?
On the schedule, yeah, November
Watkins,
7th.
Yeah, 10 laps of the boot, 16.
With the boot, oh, that's going to be fruity. That's definitely going to be fruity there. But, Edwards now is just saying is trying to give Barry the hustle. Say, come on, James. We know we're quicker than the 2 in front. And you can see now that Edwards just has that little bit more confidence, a little bit more pace than Barry, and is just waiting and biding his time. There's still plenty of laps to go. I mean, we've got, another 16, 17, including this one. So Simon Edwards just can play this right to his advantage.
Yeah, he can just sit and chill at the moment as well. Gonzaga could do the same thing on Buson. Glover still coming back at Matthews. Into Redgate they go. These 2 down the back end is gone. Phil's going to have a go on the outside. Are they going to make this work? There's Graham Matthews, motherboard looking livery. Oh, Glover, you got to do it. 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 Oh, Phil, where is he? Oh, Graham Matthews all the way back there. Oh, that looks very aggressive from Mr. Glover there, didn't he?
That was more than aggressive. That was elbows out. Here we go.
Oh, it's one of them absolute rubbish spins that almost seem innocuous, that they shouldn't even happen on the racetrack, but they do, unfortunately, there once again. But Gonzaga closing in on Buson. Barry did the fastest lap that time around on a 1:09.9, and then in the back there is Barry, there is Edwards, and then we got a little bit of a spread with Paul LeMay, Graham Brown, Phil Glover, and Graham Matthews. We know we lost Darryl Taylor here once again, unfortunately, but still, who's going to come out on front? Is it going to be Buson? Is it going to be Gonzaga?
Yeah, it's it's a tough one to call, really. But I think if Buson, we've seen him be at the sharp end and take a win. Gonzaga, Gonzaga hasn't won any races so far this season, but he's kept himself in the title mix by being there or thereabouts. Probably, I think his worst placing has been an 8th or a 9th or something like that, I think, if memory serves me correctly. So Jorge's got the opportunity here to put one up on Mike Buson, as Buson decides to keep it to the right-hand side and then darts to the left at the very last moment possible to go through Redgate at high speed. So I think Gonzaga's got an actual shout of this. He really, really has. As Barry is starting to drop a little bit of time. Well, drop Edwards back by a little bit of time. The gap's about 0.8 of a second now.
Yeah, as he's dropped Edwards a little bit, and I don't think that's going to stay like that. I think the thing is Barry's catching Gonzaga's draft here. Gonzaga's catching Buson. Edwards trying to catch both of the drafts here once more. And you can see at the moment Buson trying to break something of the toe. Not happening down that straightaway for Mr. Gonzaga. He's got to look and decide what he's got to do here, because I can tell you what, his teammate's coming up. He's got to follow back. Buson, don't open up the door, George. Come on, son. Where's the Portuguese man of war spirit?
It's definitely gone down the toilet. That's what it sounds like.
Bro, he's sitting in 3rd place. He gave that up easier than me giving out Halloween sweets to kids tonight when they didn't even do tricks when they said trick or treat. You know what I mean? That's just roll over. It's like, get your belly tickled.
Like a little dachshund.
Yeah, like my little
sausage dog.
Yeah, do you know what? You kind of sit back and think, you just want to get
You just want to give them the Homer Simpson to Bart treatment by strangling them by the scruff of the neck, saying, "Why you little?"
Yeah. Why is it like you're not? He frustrates me. I love George to bits, and he knows this, and met him IRL and everything else, and if you're ever gonna take a championship, you've got to be a selfish little rascal. That's basically what he's got to do. And he left that door that was just literally set up. It's like, come in, have my sofa. While you're there, take me Portuguese wine out the fridge. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like opening the front door and letting the burglars in and saying, go and have my 50 grand car on my driveway. Yeah. But here comes a move from Barry through at Schwantz Curve. Now this is going to be through at McLeod's. He's going to try the crisscross here. Now, Buson defense. This could bring Gonzaga back into the fight. Into Coppes. This could get a bit hairy. Barry's on the inside. He used the apex. And now Gonzaga's going to get the slipstream from Buson. Now down Roberts.
How brave, Mike. How brave.
Oh my God. From Gonzaga. I could see it happening.
Bro.
Gonzaga locks up the fronts. T-boned into Mike Buson and span the Team Radline driver around.
Where was that aggression on the block, on the defense?
None.
That's what I mean. The aggression on the defense was zero over his teammate. The aggression on the attack, he went punting somebody in the gravel. George, I love you to bits, mate, and if you watch this back, you're driving me insane.
You remember when I said earlier on this season, by keeping that carrot that was being dangled of having 3 additional points for having a 0x race, I said it should make the racing more exciting. We're now getting into the point in the season where you do need to risk it. You do need to go for it and try your damnedest. But that's not just on attacking, it's on defence as well. We saw that from both Gonzaga and from Buson. Both of them had opportunities to keep James Barry behind. And what did both of them do? They did exactly the same thing going through into Redgate. It was a carbon copy.
He just sent it from nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Literally just come in and thought, I'm going to make this, 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 and then just didn't make it.
Yeah, because he locked up. He locked up under braking. He realised what on earth has just happened there. Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, this should have been ages ago. Now brake, and he didn't. And he broke, and the thing, I don't know. I don't know. I think the frustrating thing for me is he says about championships before, said about it before, and said about it before. But the only way you're ever going to win a championship is literally look in the mirror and get the most ferocious, selfish bones you can ever get here, because otherwise it's just never going to happen. And at the moment, we've got a bit of a spread out now. It's now down to Edwards to chase Barry.
That's why Simon Edwards is a 7-time champion. Because you have to be selfish.
Yep.
You know, you look back at days of yore when you see the likes of Senna, the likes of Prost. They are all selfish. There is no way you're going to get away from winning a championship. Yeah, I can conserve points. Yeah, but why aren't you risking it? You know, we want a show. We want people to showcase what they can do, and we saw two completely different sides of two different drivers, which didn't really add up. You know, 2 + 2 = 6.5 on that.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, kicking himself. He's got to be kicking himself. I don't know. At the moment, though, we've got Barry chasing down. Barry trying to break away from Edwards. Edwards is trying to get on to the back here, not really making up the same speed he had in race number 1. But I expect that to come down and down and down. At the moment, Gonzaga now down in 6th, Buson 5th, Brown 4th, LeMay in 3rd. Doing a great job at the moment. He's got 5.8 seconds, I think, over Graham Brown. There is Brown in the background. No, it's not. It's only 1.6. That's because that's on gaps. I confused myself then. There we go. Let me get the right gap up. 1.7 back, 2.8, 3.9, 8.2, 7.8. And the closest battle is Edwards, who's slowly but surely reeling in James Barry. Bit by bit by bit. You can see there the lap times.
Yeah, I mean, coming back to, you know, taking away those 3 points for the 0x in each race, yeah, you're going to see a lot more risk it for the biscuit, like we saw with Jorge Gonzaga, who completely misses breaking point. Buson's ended up around. Now Gonzaga's down in 6th, Buson's 5th, and both drivers could have had a shot. Both drivers had a shot at winning this race 100%, and now James Barry is in exactly the position he wants to be. However, he does not want Simon Edwards 4 tenths behind him. He'd rather have him 4 seconds behind him at this point in the race. So he now knows, okay, Edwards has got one up on me tonight. I want to make sure I get one up on him. So by him making 4 places up early before Edwards did, and then followed his teammate Gonzaga, who, yeah, as we said, open up the barn doors, whoopsie daisy. I don't know what else to say, really. There isn't much else to discuss on this matter, because it's happened, it's past tense, it's water under the bridge.
Yeah, and now we're going to keep an eye on whether or not Edwards is going to be able to bring in Barry. You can see the last 3 laps, Edwards closing in bit by bit by bit. The question is, where is he closing in? Is it going to be sectors 1? Is it going to be sector 2? It looks like he's bringing him in 1 again. Fastest sector there for Simon Edwards, 17.5. Sector 2 is on the after the right hander, just up here through McLean's, and that may run down from McLean's to Coppice. We'll see if sector 2 is faster again. We're going to get that sector time very, very shortly here. Ooh, Barry's pulled out 2 tenths. So Barry opening it up in sector 2. What about the final sector here once more? Graham Matthews has entered in and left the pit lane. He's then entered in and left the pit lane again, unfortunately for Matthews. And it looks like Barry might be able to hang on here. Probably got a faster 3rd sector once more than Simon Edwards. No, Edwards did get it on a 23.99 here as well. So sector 1 and 2, Edwards seems to be making an inroad inwards, Alex. But again, he's in the same position. Can he clear Barry? And can he do it? And where can he do it?
He's got to do it in sector 2 because Barry is nearly clawing back all that time. You look at it from that perspective, Edwards was quicker by 0.3, and 2.3 of those tenths were clawed back. So that's over 75% recapturing of that time. Excuse me, by James Barry. So, as I said, and I noticed it actually in race 1, that Barry is really, really quick. As soon as he gets through the crane of curves, through Old Hairpin, Starkey's Bridge, Schwantz Curve, McLean's, Coppice, he is rapid. He is rapid through that part of the section. And also, more to the point, it's uphill. So Edwards on the downhill stuff, or on the level playing field in terms of the gradient or the descent, Edwards has got that teed up. But he hasn't got sector 2 mastered like Barry has, which is why, with this and 4 laps to go, he's still 3 3/4 tenths behind, approximately.
It's going to be very interesting to see whether or not this materializes into a bit here, and we'll see how he gets on. Barry there with Edwards tucked in behind him. This is the closest battle on the racetrack. Everybody else is fairly spread out. You can see them around the grid, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 all the way around the racetrack. But it's 1 and 2 we are focusing on. Simon Edwards, James Barry, all taking the literally 21. We've got this and 3 more to go. Who's going to come out on top? If you sat back now, Alex has said, right, it's going to be so-and-so. Who are you going to be picking?
At this moment in time, Barry's got the advantage. He's mustered through sector number 2. And we are seeing a repeat of what we saw in race 1 here, James, that when the person in second, which at that point was James Barry, no matter how hard he tried, he could not get past Simon Edwards. But I might be changing my mind now, because look how close Edwards is to Barry. He might be listing at the moment, so he's managed to get through that sector 2 here on lap 21 a little bit quicker, and he closed that gap. But I still think Barry's got the advantage because he's got track position.
You reckon?
I think Barry still could have this.
I don't know. I think Edwards might have the pace. I think he might. I think he might. That's the thing. I think Edwards. I think he's got the pace.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna do it, but I think he's got to be careful as to where he does it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I think if he's gonna get it, I think if anything, it'll be the run out of McLean's and Coppice and down into Roberts. I think that's going to be an opportunity for him if he can just bury this inside part here as well through the last final corners. Coming up in the Coppice, he's got to open this up, brake a little bit, let the car run through and try and carry as much momentum as you can. But again, I don't think 4 temps, 3 temps, not close enough. He needs to be within 3 temps here. Maybe he's going to look for the run down in the red gate. I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens.
We're coming up to 1 and 1 more, aren't we now? So, as Murray Walker always used to say, catching is one thing, but passing is quite another. 2 to go.
Yeah, you've got to love Murray Walker, king of commentary, without a shadow of a doubt. But here we go now. You can see here once more, Edwards is tucked in right behind down the hill. They go through the left-hander coming into the old hairpin. Is he going to be able to get the run out? Edwards, carried too much. Carried too much speed. Let's put that gap down to 3 temps. He needs to be a little bit closer. Needs to be just a little bit closer, does Edwards. Here to get that run down, he needs to be within 2 temps. He doesn't seem to have McLean's buried, where James Barry seems to get the run through McLean's and Coppice a lot more cleaner than what Simon Edwards done. Final lap this time around.
Yeah, I think it could be a foregone conclusion here. I mean, that mistake, uncharacteristic, I have to add, from Simon Edwards, means that with the white flag, Barney's going to wave it on the start-finish straight. It's going to be 1 apiece here tonight at Donington Park National before we head to Watkins Glen with the boot next week. for round 9. Yeah, this is going to keep Barry ahead of Edwards in the point standings coming into the final third of the championship season. But what a season it's been between these two. Of course, we could have seen Jorge Gonzaga come in and upset, be the Portuguese cat amongst the British pigeons, if you will, because he was very quick in qualifying, was gunning for the race lead, and then obviously it all went wrong between him and Mike Bousson a few laps ago. But yeah, I think Edwards has just said, you know what? I'm going to be happy. I'm going to take the points. Let Barry have the win because he's worked his way to it.
Yeah, here we go. James Barry's going to come over the line. He's going to take a win in the feature race. He's going to do it here for Mr. Barry. Flash of the lights he does here. Takes the victory over Simon Edwards. And good old Mr. Paul LeMay wrapping up third place as long as he can get through the final corner. He does. Well done to him. And then we've got Mike Bousson here as well, which is nearly man almost. Gonzaga, I expect the DM in the morning. Phil Glover there as well.
I like how you just went DM in the morning.
Yeah, I do. I expect to wake up for a DM from George telling me about what was going on. I never had the pace, mate. I didn't feel the need to fight him and all that. And I'm just going to be like, George, grow a pair. Graham Matthews is going to come over the line for that final position there. Phil Glover finished in 6th place. But let's bring you up the results of the feature race, and it is James Barry taking a win, 1 apiece for him and Simon Edwards, who finished 2nd, and Paul LeMay 3rd. Mike Bousson 4th, then him and Mr. George Gonzaga who is in 5th after having to come in together. Then Phil Glover, Graham Matthews, Graham Brown, and Darryl Taylor. We're going to have just enough time, I think, before the main protagonists jump in to have a chat with Mr. Phil Glover, who is joined us in the booth after finishing in 6th place. Phil, welcome in, bud. How are you?
All right, yeah. Didn't win, did I? But at least I got top 10 place.
Hey.
Well, not that I was not going to get a top 10.
No, that was a given, but you had to turn up. That was a great start there as well.
Yeah.
How was it out there, mate? You got off the line all right, and then you just kind of seemed to went a bit backwards.
Yeah, well, I saw people coming up on me, and so I tried to go wide. I hate it when I catch into somebody, and it doesn't help with VR, so I always tend to give them probably more space than I need to, but yeah, so lost a few spots. I mean, to be honest, we haven't got many out tonight, and they're all pretty good drivers, aren't they? So, yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Do you reckon you could have given them a fight, Phil?
I think if we took a wheel off each one of them, preferably a steering wheel, then I think I've got a fair chance.
Oh, dude, I reckon you could have done better than that. I reckon if you planted it right here at Donny, you could have stayed in front and won the whole thing, Phil. That's my positive optimism. Listen,
Shall we leave it? We'll leave it at that. I think that sounds fairly reasonable to me.
I agree as well. Listen, positive thinking going into next week. First question: do you know where we are next week?
It's on the tip of my tongue, James. I just can't recall that.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Watkins Glen, mate, with the boot chicane as well.
Hey, we haven't done that for a while. Yeah, I like that one.
All right, mate. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the racetrack. Phil, anyone you want to shout out before we let you go, bud?
Everybody who turned up. What happened to the rest of them? That's what I want to know.
Halloween and trick or treat, says Darryl Taylor.
Aren't they a bit old to be going out doing that?
Well,
Yeah, they'd probably be scaring a few people, Phil.
To be honest with you, Phil, I went out early. Well, I didn't go out. The wife went out with the daughter, and I was at home giving out sweets to every kid that knocked on my door. But that was a little bit earlier on, so I still made it.
Did Mike knock on your door?
No, although he's 20 minutes away from me, Phil, I think that might be a little bit far to come just to get some sweets out of my bucket. Yeah, I mean. All right, mate.
I'll see you across the pond next week.
Yeah, have a good one, mate. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, cheers. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Right, how are we going to do this then? Because we've got both winners here as well. Let's do it this way. He finished second in race number 1 after having a good old battle with Simon Edwards. He then went and won the feature after having a good old battle with Simon Edwards as well. He's gone and taken some points. Could be interesting after this as well. Let's have a chat with him now, Mr. James Barry. James, welcome in. How are you, bud?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
All right, mate. How was your night? Tell me about it.
It's a weird one. Obviously happy to beat Simon in that feature race, but I was sorry for what happened with George and Mike. George let me through with I didn't. We are in chat with each other, but I didn't ask him to. I wasn't expecting him to, and he chose to let me through. And I don't know. I think it's because he feels bad if he's like holding me up, which sometimes at different tracks is the case. But here he had like really good pace, and he was trying to attack Mike. I don't know how close he got to passing him, but obviously it's really tough to pass here. So he just chose to let me through and have a go. Then I made that move on Mike, and then I may or may not have shouted on the mic, "Go get him," when I was on the inside, because I thought, George might have a chance to follow me through whilst Mike is compromised on the outside. And I don't know if it was because I said that or not, but then George obviously made his move. And I claim no responsibility for his actions. But it was a shame that it went like that.
I think the problem was it was the late decision, and he hadn't broken early enough to stay there. I think that was the problem for us as well. I think that was the thing. He broke late. He broke too late, sorry, and then Mike was already rotating the car at that point as well. Going forward, we've still got 5 weeks to go because we're in a week, we've got an extra week apparently in this season from iRacing, the announcement I read the other day. Just how tough is it going to be over the next 5 weeks?
It's always tough. I mean, if it comes down to me and Simon for the championship, it's always tough against him when he's on his best form. And today he did really well, beat me in quali, which I was a bit disappointed about. And then obviously at this track it's really tough to overtake, so fortunately I was able to keep him behind in the feature. But I'm definitely leading the championship at this point, so it's up to me to make the most of the remaining races and just keep that lead. And yeah, of course it'll be tough, but that's the aim, will be to win.
All right, mate. Well, awesome job, James. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, just shout out George, as I said, and Mike for doing really well in that race, and it would have been really interesting, had that crash not happened. So, yeah.
All right, man. Take care, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week at Watkins Glen.
See you then. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Next up is the man himself who went and took the win in race number 1. I had him down on getting it for race number 2. Didn't quite make it through on Mr. Barry. Was there some sort of issue? Or did he not have the pace? Let's have a chat with him now as well. Mr. Simon Edwards. Simon, welcome in, bud. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I can answer your question.
Go on, then.
If it was free air, I had the pace, but I just took too much understeer. It always happens when I put max or near max downforce on. I can never follow anybody.
Okay.
So I was hoping I could get near enough that I might have been able to make a lunge, but I made a mistake on that last lap. So I gave up.
Nah, that's fair enough. That'd be why you dropped back as you did, about 8 attempts as well. Listen, quick thing. Barry's given you a good old run this season. He's given you a push quite hard here. You've got your little Simon Edwards playbook, what we know is full of tricks, and you pulled out lots of them in race number 1. The interesting thing, we've got a couple of racetracks coming up with long straights here. The likes of Road America, Watkins Glen, Virginia coming up as well. We've got Sebring and in the Lagos on the end. Are there many tricks left that Simon Edwards can play to stop that overtake happening on a long straightaway?
Well, those are better tracks for me, all of them. So maybe. I need a bit of bad luck for James now because of my last race. So I don't want to wish bad luck on anybody though.
No.
So let's turn it around. I need good luck. So, but I'm enjoying the season generally. I like it when we're fighting. So, and we're fighting. So, not one of us is running away from the other. So, that makes it more interesting, even though the field's down at the moment, which is unusual for this time of year.
Yeah, we think it was Halloween. Daryl said
possibly.
Halloween and trick or treating.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be old enough, wouldn't you? I would have thought James, being so young, would be the one out trick and treating.
Yeah, everybody else just wanted sweeties, Simon. That's basically all they went out for, to be blatantly honest. That's the only reason the adults go out with the children on that one. All right, mate. Well, listen, we look forward to seeing what you can do at Watkins Glen next week as well. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
I'd give a shout out to Phil for he got on that setup only today, and it was a bit of one of my setups where it takes a bit of driving, so he did well to master that pretty quick.
Yeah, he did. He had a prediction that he was going to win race 2. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out, but bless him, he'll keep trying as well. But Simon, thanks so much for chatting to us today. We will see you next week at Watkins Glen.
Yep, see you there.
Take care, mate. All right, there as well. I think we can safely say, Alex, the let through from George is what we expected. He just confirmed it there as well. The send, probably not the good move, but it was kind of a race that Barry went and took the win in the feature. Edwards has said these next 5 tracks are his tracks. This run into the season is going to be very, very tight.
I think basically there's one thing for Simon Edwards to do, which is basically grab the bull by both horns, go along for the ride, and win everything you can.
Mm-hmm. I think
that's
you're right.
what he's got to do to beat James Barry.
Absolutely.
And also, maybe have a little bit of lady luck, not go on James Barry's side if there's a mistake that James makes and it costs him a win or a podium. Points make up all the difference. So
I agree. He's got to get points on the board. Simon Edwards, he's got to get points on the board. We'll work out and start getting into drop weeks next week as well. But for now, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Join myself and Mr. Jim Cunningham, who's going to come along and do the triple bypass for us a little bit later on as we tackle Dover. So come and join us for that as well. But then don't forget, on Saturday, we do have the FTR is back once more for the Season 6 Championship. That's the 4 hours of Hero on that one, and an IGP on Sunday. We do also have the return of Tanzo is coming back for their new season on Sunday. The video will be up tomorrow, and the SR4S round 8 from Interlagos is coming up on Monday morning / Sunday night. So join us for them ones. The videos will appear up on tomorrow. It's been a little bit of a manic week in the Parfitt household this week, being half term, so forgive me if I'm a little bit delayed on getting things out there. But for now, guys, I've been James Parfitt. I've been alongside Alex Goldschmidt. And as always, take care, have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on a track sometime. Good night.